Want to know the secret to the perfect first row? Crocheting into the back bump. Let me show you how to do it. Let's learn how to crochet into the back bump of a chain. So first, I have made a couple of swatches here, and let's do a little pop quiz. Can you tell which one of these I crocheted into the back bump and which one I crocheted into the front loop? Okay, so here's the first row, my chain and crocheting back into it. So you can't really tell too much when you're looking at them far apart like this. But let's look at them side by side, upside down. Can you tell now? All right, this one here, I crocheted into the front loop of the chain, which is very common. This one I crocheted into the back bump of the chain. Makes it look just like another stitch along the bottom, okay? I am now going to reveal to you the number one reason why you may want to learn how to do this technique, okay? So let's look at the one where I just crocheted into the front loop of the chain. Look at this very first row. See if you notice anything, okay? It's not super noticeable with this yarn, but if I stretch it a little bit, you'll see in this first row, there's these gaps that separate the chain from the first row of single crochet. And that is the main reason why becoming comfortable with crocheting into the back bump is a great technique to know. I don't know about you, but I can't stand these gaps. And it makes the project look a little bit uneven. It's not consistent tension all the way throughout. So I'm going to show you how to crochet into the back bump, which, if you look at this little swatch, corrects that issue. You do not see any gap between the chain and your first row of crochet. So it just makes this really nice, tight, clean look. All right, so let's look how to do it. So I am going to just do a little swatch of 10 single crochet. So go ahead and, if you're practicing, slip knot onto your hook and make a chain of 11 so that we'll end up with a swatch of 10. Now, I'm going to give you your number one tip at this point. If you are doing a chain and you're going to have to single crochet into the back bump of it, my very best tip I can give you is to chain loosely. Create a chain that's a little bit looser than your normal tension. It'll make it way easier. The number one complaint about crocheting into the back bump is that it's hard, and that's because the chain is too tight. And here is your chain. And now if you flip her upside down, there's your back bumps. So each chain has 3 loops. You have your 2 front loops, which create your little, your V, your top loop, your bottom loop, and then if you flip it around, you've got your back loop, okay? So traditionally, you would skip that first chain from your hook and you would make your first single crochet right here into this loop. Okay, a lot of people do it that way. That's fine, again, if that's how you prefer it. But we're going to look at how to crochet into this back bump. So flip it over. Again, we are going to skip that very first bump from the hook right there. I'm going to place my first one into this back bump right here. Okay, so insert your hook under that bump. Complete your single crochet. Okay, so again, find that back bump. If you're having trouble finding it and you're used to looking at the top, just find your chain, find your 2 loops of your chain, flip it upside down, and that third loop is your back bump. Single crochet. Okay, so here is your back bump. Complete your crochet. Okay, I'm going to do that all the way to the end. And we'll take a look at what that looks like. Okay, here's my last one. And there you have it. You got a little swatch of 10 single crochet, super tight, no gaps along the bottom. Another tip that I'll give you is, especially if you have a project that's requiring you to chain a whole bunch before you do your first row, I would just start with practicing your tension on this by doing a small swatch like this. Because if you start to build a few rows and you look back and you see that this first row is tight, so if it's like kind of tight here and it's starting to, your tension is starting to get looser as you go up and make your rows a little bit wider, then you may want to chain even looser. What can happen is the very first row can be kind of tight. If you chain tight and then you're crocheting through the back bump into it, it can make this very first row tension a little bit tighter than the rest of them. And that is how you work into the back bump of your chain. Don't forget to join our website offthebeatenhook.com for lots of free patterns, video tutorials, and tons of downloadable essential crochet resources. Happy hooking!